Thanks everybody for showing up. This is a big event. Texas is not the most cannabis-friendly state, but a lot of that has to do with the fact that we need to have conversations with politicians. We need to have conversations with each other about how cannabis is changing lives. And if you notice up here on all of the TVs that are going on right now, we're looping a lot of the people that are here that are conversation starters, which Todd's going to talk about real quick. And we just want to thank everybody for showing up, for supporting this event and supporting this cause. Continue to support it and continue to support your vets.
All right, welcome, 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 everybody. How you doing? My name's Todd Scatini. I'm kind of your host. I'm your host tonight. Welcome to the Hemp for Victory post-game mixer. Yeah. All right, I came here to do 3 things this weekend, all right? One was to watch the Army beat the hell out of Air Force. Check. The second was to engage with my class, the best class that ever threw their hat in the air at Mikey Stadium, the class of 1996, celebrating our 25th reunion. I don't know. The third thing I came to do is engage leaders and leadership about an incredibly important subject called cannabis and what it means, right? To really engage leaders about what the future of cannabis could hold, right? Today in the United States, we are watching an absolute paradigm shift unfold before us. And I never use that term lightly, right? Especially in a room so educated, right? And so educated and steeped in the understanding of American history and how we have continued to evolve. But we're witnessing a paradigm shift with the re-legalization of cannabis. And what I've recognized out of this is that there is a potential to save soldiers' lives in combat. There's a potential to allow veterans and their families to thrive after service. And I think that the proof will be in the conversations that we have tonight, right? I continue to surround myself by leadership, by geniuses, and by people who understand cannabis and who can understand what vision looks like, right? I believe that medical cannabis can save some soldiers' lives. I want to start first by thanking a couple of people who've helped us out so much. All right. First, I'd like to say that Stephen Young, class of 2000, West Point, is here tonight. He's an advisor to Weed Maps, former COO of Weed Maps, and the president of Weed Maps, currently the COO of PAX. When I first learned that our 25th class reunion was going to take place here in Dallas, Texas, a place where cannabis really isn't available for people, and when I knew that Army was going to be beating Air Force, I knew this was going to be a massive intersection of leadership, and I wanted to take the opportunity to bring critical and creative thinkers together and talk about this subject. So the first thing I did was look for academy graduates who were working in the cannabis industry, right? I've been engaging with academy graduates throughout this industry for the last 6 years. If there's any doubt about it, there shouldn't be. In the cannabis industry, the United States Military Academy and the rest of the academies are absolutely pushing forward with vision and leadership, and y'all should be very, very proud. Absolutely. Stephen Young is one of them. I called him up and I said, hey, I know you're at Weed Maps, and I know you guys love to do events. How about the Hemp for Victory party? And he said, all right, hell yeah, let's do it. Right? Everyone knows what Hemp for Victory means, right? Maybe not. And I know West Pointers and, military historians, we love history. Hemp for Victory was the last time the United States re-legalized cannabis for military purposes. Think about that. 1937, cannabis was prohibited, right? But in 1942, the the United States lost its access to hemp, which was vital for the war effort to put together tents and webbing and ropes for ships and all of the things that it takes to run a war. So we created this program called Hemp for Victory, where we had to reteach farmers, once again, how to grow the plant that we've been cultivating on this continent, since the 1600s. So it's called the Hemp for Victory program. Well, I thought, you know what? We were in a military crisis in the middle of World War II, and we needed to re-legalize cannabis. And there is no damn doubt that we are in the middle of a crisis today within the veteran community and within the military community. 22 veterans will decide to end their life today. 10 veterans are going to overdose on an opioid today. That's a crisis. Leaders are listening now. They should be, right? Because it's a real crisis. And veterans across the country are telling us that cannabis is saving our lives, right? It is giving us new meaning and new purpose in life. And Stephen Young and Weed Maps, they bought into that and they said, you know what? I'm going to support this conversation because that's what this is. This is a conversation that I am incredibly excited to start with the Department of Defense, with the Veterans Administration, and with the interagency, to be perfectly honest, right? And I know that word resonates within this community as well. The interagency is a part of the solution. The United States should be looking at this as an opportunity to really redefine who we are with the re-legalization of this plant, and look at this as an opportunity to really make our mark once again. I'd like to give Stephen a few moments to kind of talk about his thoughts on cannabis from an advisory position at Weed Maps and as the COO at PAX. Stephen, would you mind saying a couple of words?
Thanks, Todd. I'll try to keep it kind of brief. I think it's super exciting to be here with everybody, seeing folks that are obviously grads, some that are already out in the industry and learning about it, making moves, those that are still in, potentially thinking about it afterward. The one thing I can tell you is I joined the industry in 2017. I like to say when I graduated in 2000 from USMA, I clearly knew that weed was in my future. Obviously not, but here I am, and I think the most important part of what we're doing here, like Todd said, this is a conversation, this is a dialogue. Social equity, social justice, and access, these are all things that are critical to this industry and critical to the communities. I think most of you have all seen the stats, right? And veterans only make up 7% of the U.S. population, but ultimately 14% of suicides. And I think that kind of stat should drive it home that there is an opportunity here for us to take something that is a great medical alternative that can be used to help treat our brothers and sisters that are out there. And that's just the start of it, right? And not to mention the fact that there's opportunity for everybody as this industry grows to be a part of that and to build a future and to build a career. So as far as Weed Maps goes, we're incredibly proud to be a part of this. So thank you for that partnership. And I'm currently now at PAX, and we're going to do the same thing. We actually just met with Weed for Warriors yesterday, another great nonprofit organization out there that's focusing on compassionate care and rehabilitation and cannabis treatment for folks that need it, veterans specifically. So I'm looking forward to being able to do more with you. And anything that I can do to help anybody here to get in the industry, if you have questions, if you'd like to grow in it, I'm here for you.
Thanks, Steve. Yeah. Appreciate that. Cheers. Hey, finally, I would like to thank our other sponsors. We have here Dust Off 06 that came all the way down from Kansas to talk about health and wellness for veterans and what they're seeing. It's run by recently retired warrant officer Frank Kirby, who's a pilot. You can go back here in the corner and see Zoe CBD. We also have Good Blends here, which is recognized as one of the very few licensed dispensaries in the state of Texas and is really engaged in this conversation, and we are so grateful for their support because tonight we're raising a little bit of money, right, if you wish, One of them will be for Americans for Safe Access Texas and Americans for Safe Access to help re-legalize cannabis here in the state of Texas so that this huge veteran-rich state can have access to medical cannabis, a safe, effective medicine. And I also want to say that I also want to thank Greenlight Events. Leah and Dalton have really been incredible in organizing this. And so tonight's about starting conversations, and I'm really going to get off the mic here real quick. But I've brought together tonight real leaders and real experts in medical cannabis. One of them I'd like to announce is Major General Todd Bunting, retired U.S. Army Air Force Major General Todd Bunting, the former Adjutant General of the Kansas National Guard, is here tonight. And Major General Bunting and I have been walking around the Capitol in Kansas trying to convince leaders that Kansas veterans need access to medical cannabis. We've convinced some incredibly influential, important military leaders of that as well. And sir, I don't know, are you interested in saying a few words real quick?
All right, hello everyone. I spent 32 years in service, a lot of it in counter drug. So if somebody had come to me 10 years ago and said, hey Todd, 10 years from now, you're going to be in Texas in a room full of Army guys talking about being your advocacy for medical marijuana, I'd say, you need an MRI or you must be high. So in a life lesson of people can change, I'm one of them. I am an unabashed advocate, and I'll go anywhere with him, with Todd, or any of you to open the eyes of people that this can make a difference. Now, probably like you, I wear this around my neck. These are the 11 soldiers in my care that I lost. I've lost way more than that to suicide, and I've had enough. And I think medical cannabis is a powerful tool that used responsibly can make a difference and change lives. It can save lives, and it can improve the quality of lives. And when you get as old as I am, I'm not 88 years old like Sergeant Wolfenberger thinks I am, but I am a senior citizen. You'll also get around people that have other issues with chronic pain later in life. And when a loved one of yours gets to that condition, and you know there's a product that can improve their life, and it's illegal, that will put you in a dangerous position or a difficult position of having to choose. And I chose, because much like you, I had a mom one day, and I could not stand to see my mom in pain. And we all have our soldiers that we served with, and we can't stand that either. And so to any extent that I can, I will put what I have accomplished out in front of people and say, you ought to at least have this conversation, you ought to engage and listen. Because 10 years ago, I was the definition of a hard no. And now I am the embodiment of hell yes. Please get out of our way.
Thanks, sir, very much. Appreciate it. Right, so that's just one major example of the conversation starters that we're bringing to the table here, right? A couple of others, and I really just want to point everyone out, so if you could give us a big shout out to show us where you are when I call your name. I brought in Dr. Corey Birchman, Navy veteran, Harvard-trained anesthesiologist, pain management expert. Like, if you want to hear about how cannabis helps people treat pain from a medical and a scientific perspective, please engage in a conversation with Dr. Corey Birchman here. And I promise you, you're not going to fail your piss test if you talk to someone who knows their stuff about cannabis. Guaranteed. All right. I'd like to also tell you that here we also have, I've also brought in nurses, right? So, who came in all the way from Missouri to join us. Alice Mangan from Alice CBD. If you could, Alice, show where you are. Thank you. Army nurse, MS patient, helping everyone every day, right? And Nurse April Hatch, who is there we go. Go join them for a conversation. I also invite you guys to go outside too, because we have great places set up to have real conversations and get down to the science and hear some of the stories about how cannabis is helping save lives. All right. I also want to point out that we have here someone who's incredibly important to this conversation, an Army wife, right? Military spouses. Because when we're talking about pain and addiction and PTSD, it's not just affecting the soldier and it's not just affecting the veteran, it's affecting wives and children and which means the future of our country, right? So tonight I'm so proud to have here NORML's Activist of the Year in Virginia 2020, Tamara Netzel. Her husband is a retired Army colonel in DC, an MS patient, a medical cannabis patient, a mom, and also the CEO and founder of Cruel Consequences, which tells through portraits the incredibly cruel consequences of cannabis prohibition. And she's brought with her 4 portraits that I encourage you to come out here and check out right behind me on the stage, all right? And you'll see the pictures of the people and see the stories about what cannabis prohibition did to them. And I think it's just incredibly powerful. Join Tamara for conversation. She's one of our conversation starters. She'll be a recurring character in this movie. Thank you for coming all the way from Washington, D.C. for this. And Corey, thank you, your wife, for us. Thank you so much for coming all the way into Dallas for this, because it's so important. Anyone who traveled to come here specifically for this, thank you all very much. I'd also like to thank Americans for Safe Access, right? Americans for Safe Access is the most medically and scientifically focused activist organization that I have seen across the spectrum of activism, which I've been a part of now for 6 years. And as some of you may or may not know, in cannabis, 6 years, this is like dog years. I've been in this for a lifetime now. So Americans for Safe Access have really supported us in this. They're prepared to come to the table with all of the science and the research that backs up what we're saying about cannabis to try to encourage the Department of Defense to shine their research lens on this plant, right? The Department of Defense and the VA specifically is the most suited federal organization to forward medical cannabis. We have the largest patient population in the country. 9 million patients get their health care from the VA. We have 150 hospitals across the country, right? The country where 37 states have medical cannabis. We have 17 states that have adult use. We have 1,200 VA healthcare clinics all across the country. And the VA has research relationships with every university around the country. So we have the willing population, we have all of the research, we have the purpose, right, which is to really show the respect to veterans and to military personnel for the service that they have given to this country, right? So it's time to do that. It's time to talk. It's time to eat. It's time to drink. And, oh, my goodness. Sorry, I missed my list. I also want to thank Ollie Palmer, West Point class of 1997. Back there, show yourself, Ollie, who is a man who is contributing, the CEO of Royal Code. He is contributing his expertise in technology to the cannabis industry for the ability to track everything throughout it through his dynamic QR codes. You can see one on my shirt here. And I think that's it. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for someone. I'm sorry if I missed everyone, but look. I think I've been waiting for this conversation for to start this conversation for a heck of a long time. So I apologize if I forgot anyone. Actually, I do want to point out Kansas City Cannabis also, who drove down here for this. these cool shirts. Right here, you have retired Sergeant First Class Corey Martin, who's the Chief Operations Officer of Kansas City Cannabis. They have 5 dispensaries in Kansas City where veterans always get a discount and are always welcome. Thank you for your leadership. Thank you for driving down. Thank you for bringing your son. For the recognition that there's nothing to be ashamed about with cannabis, right? There's nothing to be ashamed about for using something that is safer than sugar to treat issues that you may have received from serving this country, right? And there's definitely nothing that you should be ashamed about for being in this industry, right? And in terms of being in this industry, I want to point out Sean Williams, one of our conversations, class of 1994, retired lieutenant colonel. He left the Army when he left West Point and went into the Air Force and went and became an F-16 pilot and then an F-16 test pilot. And then he left the Air Force and became the Chief Operations Officer of a major cannabis cultivation organization there in Colorado, and then started a publicly traded cannabis company in Canada. So we have incredible talent and incredible leadership around this room. I hope you guys have a great time tonight. Enjoy the food. Call your friends and tell them we're going to be here till 5. And they can come on in and be part of the conversation. And let's all, agree upon at least one thing. Well, there might be one person in the room that won't agree on this, but let's agree on one thing. Let's do this again. And let's beat Navy.